Elite Facts presents Stubborn Homeowners.
10.
This house in Washington, D.C., or should I say, was there, as it's now been demolished. At the time, it was developers constructing new office buildings and other apartment complexes. At their first time of asking, they offered the homeowner $2 million, and he was so stubborn, he said no. In the end, the property market crashed, and he sold for $750,000. That's what greed gets you.
9.
This is Wickham's department store in London, and that tiny white building you see is Spiegelter's jewellery store. Before the department store was built, the owners were asked to sell, but they refused. The builders just went ahead and constructed around them. The store still sits there today.
8.
In 2015, an apartment building in China refused to sell out to a corporation wanting to build a highway that ran right through the spot their home was built on. The owners stood their ground, however, and the city spent $15 million to construct a 4-lane road around their building. This is how you get your own way, but it does beg the question, if they had $15 million to spend on the road, how much did they offer for the house?
7.
The owner of this house in China wasn't against selling his home. He just wanted more money than was being offered to say yes to the sale. But he got greedy, and the constructors said no. Eventually, they just started building around him, leaving him stranded way up high before giving up, and the house was demolished.
6.
This one wasn't about somebody's home, it was about somebody's family history. And that's because this plot of land was actually a burial site for a family plot. The plot was called the Nail Grave and was eventually excavated, and the remains were removed so construction could be completed.
5.
This was Edith Macefield's little house, and it was in the way of a new mall being built, but she didn't want to move home. Although offered money to sell her property and relocate, Edith refused out of love for her traditional little residence. The mall went up around her home regardless, and the mall lost a section which went around it. Sadly, even though everything was perfectly okay with the new setup, Edith died 3 years later from cancer. She left the house to the site's foreman, who had helped her even after the building was done, and she left the house to him.
4.
In Japan, a group of farms became aware of government plans to build an airport through their farms, and they didn't want that to happen. As tensions rose to an all-time high, the farmers even attacked any workers who tried to begin work on the airports, and the fights even caused deaths. The airport was built around the farmers' land to avoid any more violence.
3.
The building of roads and highways features prominently on this list, and most homeowners know a good deal when they see one. After all, what is a building but bricks and mortar? One building complex in China really dug their heels in and acted beyond stubborn when a highway was to be built through the structure. So the builders did what was necessary. They just built around it.
2.
Another highway here, and yes, another group of stubborn homeowners. This time, Yi Tan's family farm was the cause of the aggravation to the building company when they refused to move. After years of battles, the courts ruled in the family's favour, and they stayed put, causing a huge highway to stop either side of them to be connected by a small dirt track.
1.
In an attempt to get a Chinese man to move out, this company decided to just start building work around him in a hope he'd move. They dug out the entire plot except his house, with just the obligation to allow him access in and out. They effectively stranded him in a work site, causing as much dust and other unsettling things to happen, including accidentally cutting off water and power to the home. He was forced to move out, but he never sold. In fact, once work had finished, he moved right back in. Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.